Hopefully everyone's okay with me recording this, and if you're not, I apologize. But we're going to be recording from here on out. So we have the case statement, which has all this, and there's even the fact that everyone gives. There's a great story that just came out of camp this very summer where a camper who's been coming for a number of years couldn't afford to come based on the amount of financial assistance that we were all offered this year, and two staff actually got together and gave part of their salaries and got their parents to contribute to actually make up the difference so that camper could come. So I mean, it's full of great stories like that, and it's wonderful being part of a community of giving like that. So those are the kind of things we can share. Now, the next thing I just want to share is probably, if you take away nothing else from tonight, these two things I think are the most important facts about fundraising. First is, why don't people give? The first reason in every survey and all research is that no one asked them. It's just no one asked. That's why they don't give. They're like, no one asked me. So the easiest thing, just ask. And then the second part of that is, when you do ask, the worst they could say is no. They're not going to beat you up. They're not going to scream and yell at you. They're just going to say no. But the corollary to that is that it's usually not just a no. There's usually a because. And you may, that'll be your follow-up question. Oh, because it might just be not now, or not this particular program, or not this particular campaign. And you want to find out what those reasons are, because maybe you can find a way around that. You can find a solution to their issue, or just understand that now is not a good time, but maybe 6 months from now, or maybe next year's campaign. And that's something good for us to know, because we will follow up with them next year. But it's important that, again, we ask, because that's how they'll give, and we don't be worried about it, because the worst they can say is no. And we just want to find out what that no means. Now, let's see here. So this was my, the worst they could say is no. 2 key points, and it's not you, it's the situation. So again, when they're saying no, they're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to your particular what's going on. And we're asking why. Okay. So I'm going, before I get to this next screen, next slide, you want to, the first thing you're going to do in this whole process is you've got to set up a meeting. You want to set the stage. You don't want to ambush anyone. So you want to ask for permission to have this conversation. You want to be up front. And you want to say, hey, can we schedule time to have coffee, or have lunch, or have a beer, or just sit down for a few minutes to talk about camp and talk about our fundraising campaign. So it gives them some time to think about it and kind of prepare themselves for it. They may say, oh, I can do it now, and that's fine, but you want to give them that opportunity and just prepare themselves. And now, once you actually sit down for that meeting, then you've got to start to build a rapport. It's probably someone you know, but not necessarily. We have a huge list of past donors that we need to reach out to. And we're going to share that list with you and give you opportunities to kind of pick names from that list. And obviously, we all gravitate towards the people we know, but since we want to hit everybody, please, we encourage you to pick people you don't know as well. So you can build that rapport. And the best way to do that is just to start to have a conversation, just casual. But even the best way here is through what camp means to you. But we're gonna get into that in a minute. Before we do that, we're gonna listen to a little short piece here from Joan Gary. about fundraising, which I had sent in advance. I don't know if many people got to listen to it. The full thing is 20 minutes. I just have I think a 3 or 4 minute passage here. So we can hear it. Is it going?
That's exactly right. And my love of the organization was greater than my fear of asking.
Ah, yes. So you and I have both experienced the whole fear thing, because you can't actually ask somebody for money and not be anxious about it. So neither of us are immune to it. But what do you think is behind the fear?
I think a lot of people who ask for money from a volunteer capacity are people that really want to do a great job, and they are afraid, in some sense, of disappointing the organization if they get a no. If the person they're asking says no to them. So I think there's a fear of failure there.
Yeah, and people, when I think about board members, who is the most likely candidate to be on a board? Somebody who is very what?
Type A.
Right.
Achievement-oriented.
Successful. Exactly. So no is not a word they're accustomed to hearing, right?
That's exactly true.
What else do you think is out there about that?
I also think that they are afraid of getting a question that maybe they can't answer, asking someone for money and then getting an objection that they're not prepared for, and not really knowing how to work with the prospect around that.
Oh, you know who's the worst about that? Lawyers. So I was on this board. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. So I was on this board filled with lawyers. And lawyers have serious value, and I know you too are a lawyer, and I don't hold it against you.
Well, thank you.
There's a lot of things I don't hold against you.
I get that.
Yeah. So anyway, lawyers are the worst, because they expect that people will only give money if they can make the case. And the case comes from the head, the case comes from data, and it doesn't come from the heart. And I remember people would say, so how many tickets do I get to the gala if I give you $10,000? And I would be the ED, and I wouldn't know the answer. I'd say, I can actually find that out for you. It's probably a pretty good number. Let's talk about the work.
That's perfect. I think that's exactly true. And the reality is, a volunteer needs to be comfortable in making the ask, and the victory is in making the ask. After that, if there's an objection, there are ways to work through it. But I really encourage volunteers, board members, to just be comfortable making the ask and not worry so much about what happens next.
So, we know that we live in a society where talking about money is kind of awkward, like almost taboo, which is kind of an interesting thing that neither you nor I have the time or probably the brains to figure out.
Right. Well, remember, I worked at Planned Parenthood where I talked about money and sex. So that was the two biggest taboo things.
Okay. So in the taboo category, talking about money falls into that category. So that's a piece of the fear too, right?
Yeah, that's exactly true. When you're asking someone for money, you are making an assessment about their net worth. There's no way about it. You and your development staff have come up with a number that you think the prospect can, in fact, give. You're making an educated guess. So, of course, that can be very difficult. But I think it's important to remember, you are not asking for yourself. You're asking on behalf of an organization you very much believe in, and that gives you the moral authority to ask.
I think that's really true, and it's probably why I will never, ever, I decided a long time ago that I would never run for office, because it felt very much like it was an ask about me, even though I might have had a platform. What I loved was asking for money on behalf of a cause.
Okay, I think that's the end of our clip, but I think it captures a lot of most people's fears about asking for money. And it's remembering that we're not asking for ourselves. We're asking for those kids, and we're asking for camp, and we're asking for camp's future. A lot of those things we talked about earlier. And when we have that fear, we want to remember that that's more important than our fear, that we've got to get over it. And again, we go back to those other 2 points. The worst thing to say is no. So there's nothing to fear. And I'll tell you that the reward when we actually say yes, doesn't matter how much the amount is. the feeling more than makes up for 100 no's. So as she was talking about, as they're talking about, you want to have, you're making that connection with the heart. So we talked about the case earlier, and you do want to be able to share that case, the value and the statistics and things like that, but then you've got to move to the heart and really connect. And that's where your personal story of camp and Laurelwood and Jewish culture really comes to the forefront, and being able to share that. And it's, sometimes people have difficulty in either crafting that or thinking about it or even sharing it. But another fundraiser that I worked with, the way he put it, and I thought it was a great comparison, is, when you've seen a great movie, you have no problem going up to someone and saying, this movie was fantastic, and you've got this passion, and you can talk about it. And when you're thinking about camp, just put it in those terms. And think about this is your favorite movie that you really want to share with someone. You really want them to see it. You really want them to experience it. So I want to step back for a second and do a little exercise. So I had sent out in advance a little homework assignment, and it was to use that form. It was share your story. I think it said the story of self outline worksheet. So I want to see if everyone can just pair up really quickly and take a minute to share your story with your partner. I know this is going to be difficult, if not possible, for you guys online, but if you guys want to talk to each other, or if you want to just listen to us, well, yeah, you could do it, the whole type chat. That would be likely. Actually, for these purposes, we'll just do it as a group. So does anyone in this group feel like sharing their story with the rest of us that you wrote down?
I'll share.
Okay.
Okay. So this is Dana, and I don't have the sheet in front of me, but, hold on, Jason gives me. Great. So for me, I think one of the greatest benefits of camp was really making lifetime friendships, and a growing sense of independence. I don't know today how lenient camp rules are, but I know when we were campers in the 80s, we were able to walk around by ourselves for hours on end and come back to a meeting spot, and we had our own money and we were able to spend it on whatever we wanted. So it really gave us, as little kids, a sense of, making choices. And I think for me that had a huge impact on growing up and being able to, become a leader in my community. There's got to be a correlation there from, early decision making to growing up and feeling just really connected to being Jewish. Services, for what they were also a very important part of camp that I look back on now and that I really enjoyed. And I think that also has transferred into my adult life. And those are some of the reasons why camp was so special to me. And of course, like I said before, the friendships and people that I met at camp that I'm still friends with today and will be forever.
That was awesome, Dana. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. You want to give me a few bucks now?
Yeah, absolutely. Good job asking.
Yeah.
So, that was perfect. And so there's a couple notes about that. One kind of preceding that is you kind of want to get permission to tell your story. You don't want to just jump in and assume they want to hear your story. You can even, straight ask, is it okay if I kind of, share why camp is special to me? And, if they say no, they say no, but chances are they're going to say yes. But it opens that up. And then by you going first, not only does it kind of give them permission and make them more comfortable to share their own story, but it also is a model for the type of things you want to hear. Not just, their favorite story of some crazy antic that happened at camp, but the real impact and significance of camp in their life. So you really model the kind of thing you're looking to hear about. So that's awesome. Thank you. I don't know, does anybody else here or online want to share a story? All right.
So
This is Lisa.
This is Lisa. As I said earlier, I didn't attend camp, and so I didn't quite understand how it was that I sometimes felt like I was being held hostage by a 12-year-old who insisted that she absolutely had to go to camp, and it was the most important thing in the world. And I could possibly only go for this many weeks. It had to be all or nothing. And it was just until I was there this year. And the first Friday night, Jeb, the first Friday night, it was a rainy night, and the Shabbat plans that all we had made were amended, because the other thing that you learn at camp is sometimes you have to be flexible. Be very flexible, because things change. It's summer, it's weather, you go inside, you go outside, it's kind of things. So the first Shabbat, we were inside the mess hall, and my back was to the room, and all of a sudden, I turned around and I saw 350 young people wearing white shirts singing, and I'm crying as I'm thinking about it, and it was just so beautiful. It was just so beautiful, and I was thinking, like, okay, I get it now. Like, they feel so connected by the community and just the Shabbat prayers and the songs that they sing at camp. I can imagine, like, if he wants to be there, can't be there. It just breaks my heart. I want to do everything in my power to make sure that every kid who wants to go can go.
That's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So is somebody else crying now?
Yeah, the Shabbat experience is definitely unique, and that's why I encourage and still encourage everyone participating in the campaign to try and find a Friday night to go and share in the camp Shabbat, especially if you haven't been there in a while or if you've never been there, and bring guests. I've been a few Fridays and bringing guests, hopefully potential donors. Even who don't have kids, because it's remember, it's not just about camp, but it's about the special fact that it's a Jewish camp, and there are lots of people in the community who really believe in supporting our Jewish heritage and giving Connecticut's kids a place to support their Jewish traditions. So would want to support camp even if they have no other connection to camp. So that opportunity is available. And while Shabbat is the best time, it's not the only time. If you can only make it another night, we can make arrangements for that as well. So I've just been talking. Stop me at any point with questions. I want to make sure we get you out on time. Although I'll stay here as late as anybody wants to talk. But I promised you 8:30, so that's my goal. So you've arranged the meeting. You had the meeting. Again, ideally it's in person, because that's where I have the best connection. If it has to be by phone, fine. Then going farther down the list, you've got email and stuff like that. But I mean, as everyone knows, the personal connection has such a bigger impact. And then you've shared your story, and you've heard their story, hopefully. So then
ask for it the same way you've prefaced that you ask for permission to share it. Like, is it okay if I tell you? It becomes an easier transition for you. If at the end of your story, it's a perfect opportunity to just simply say, so, that's kind of, why I'm involved. Do you mind telling me how you got involved, or why you care, or whatever the right phrasing is. So even though it feels logical as I say that, right, sometimes we really do forget that that's kind of the next logical outcome. So just to stress that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, it goes hand in hand with the, why don't people don't ask? They're not going to share their story if you don't ask them to share their story. So yes, we can't take that for granted, so thank you.
And also tells them you want to know about them. Tell me about you. instead of just logically sort of in a way jumping into the ask, right? Just because you made your case back to her point earlier, right? Joan's point. So that's another sort of reason.
Absolutely. Thank you. So then you actually get to the point where you do have to ask. And it's important that you think about it in advance. You want to do your research. You want to know what, if anything, they've given in the past. And we have that data. So we don't list it on the list of names. We're trying to be confidential. But by the same token, if you have these 10 people you're going to ask, we can give you their giving history. Because if they've given 1,000, you don't want to just ask for 100. You don't want to go backwards. You know what their capacity is, or at least their interest. And hopefully, they'll even step it up from there. So one tool that we're giving you to kind of help with that, because sometimes it's harder to talk about a number, are our giving clubs. And I emailed this out in advance. And actually, I made copies here. Although, as I pointed out, you got, okay. All right, good, because the copier here did not do a good job. You can ask people, hey, would you be comfortable giving at this level? At the Bonim level, maybe, which is the $2,500, to $5,000 level, or whatever it might be. Or if last year they gave in the inters level, hey, do you think you might be interested in moving up to the seniors level this year? So it might be a little more comfortable than actually talking numbers. It's just a little more abstract, but gets you where you need to go. So again, we have that information if they've given in the past. And the list that we're pulling from, that we're going to, be sharing with everybody. Actually, you probably should have already gotten an invite to it through Gmail. But if not, email me. We'll make sure you have that access. All those people have given in the past, so that they already have a passion and a commitment to camp. Yes.
So I have a question. So there are a lot of people that I am connected to who aren't on that list, which means that they haven't given in the past. So would you like me or whomever else to add them to the list, like at the bottom in red or something? Or
yes.
I'd like to proceed.
Yes, you read my mind, Dana. Thank you. Okay. Yes, everybody you ask who's not on the list should be added, because you want to make sure that someone else isn't asking the same person. We don't want to hit people up from 10 sides, but we also want to have a record of that. Even if they say no, we want them added, because we want to know that you asked them, and B, that they said no, and then even what the result was. They said no because this year, or no because of X, Y, or Z, because that's all important information, because we do want to follow up with them. Or if they even say no and never ask me again, we want to know that too. We don't want to bother them next year. If they said no, please never ask me. We want to be respectful of that. So yes, thank you, Dana. That's an excellent point.
How far back does that go? Because
it goes back fairly far, but I wouldn't bet my life on anything.
just thinking of the thousands of camping staff and sort of individuals that have the ability to access on a non-donation list, a list
Of alumni?
of
We unfortunately don't have great alumni records. It's something that we're really trying to build. We have fairly decent giving records for the last, I don't know, at least 5 to 10 years. I don't know. and actually, Lisa sitting next to me is one of the things she's helping out with at camp, is updating all those records. But alumni in general, no, we don't have good records. So we're trying to build that as well. They got a lot of stuff through the 75th anniversary 4 years ago, and we'll continue to build that, especially next year with the 80th. But going back, unfortunately, no. So that's why we built these teams the way we did, with a lot of people in different networks, different age groups, different parts of the country, so that hopefully everyone knows different types of people who aren't already on these lists that we can reach out to and connect to.
I'm thinking social media as an example.
Yes.
You may have hundreds of people who like Camp Laurelwood.
Yep.
But to match who's donated versus who likes the camp, and then reaching out to those who maybe haven't donated but like the camp, because they have a vested interest.
Yeah, no, and social media is a great thing to bring up because it's kind of the campaign is phased. So we're in what's now called the silent portion of the campaign. So we actually have started, the first part was the board, with the board giving, and we're happy to say that 100% of the board has contributed. And that's not the case, unfortunately, every year, and it's definitely not the case of every organization. It's surprising that boards are not always 100%, but we're extremely proud to say that it's 100% board giving. And it's a variety of levels. There's no level. Same thing for all of us. We want to be 100%. I mean, we can't be asking people for money if we haven't given. So the first thing we have to do as volunteers is make our commitment. And again, there's no set level. It's just about participation as much as it is about giving. So you want to be able to say, hey, when you ask for that donation, you can say, join me in giving. So I was going off of the social media. So because you're so much more successful at asking in person and directly to one person, even if it's by phone, even if it's by email, you're reaching out to one person, you're going to have a much higher success rate of yes, as well as a much higher giving level than if you put out just a broad call for, hey.
I'm not suggesting that.
No. Yeah.
I'm saying let's take the names and find out who they are and
Oh, absolutely.
get back in touch.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, no, I just was, but, and I wasn't even necessarily saying that's what you're saying, but it was just reminding me of it. So I apologize.
Because those things.
Yeah, but we will be doing that. Just like I was saying, like in September, we'll be mailing all the parents. In September, we'll start our broad social media campaign. But that gives us all of August and even, practically August now. That gives us all of August to make those personal asks. So that way, we don't hit someone with the social media and say, oh, I'll throw in $25, and then we can't connect to them personally when they really maybe $50. So.
And it's also the logic, just, to your point, where we are today, meaning that we don't have any paid professional staff doing fundraising. Once we're there, we may be talking about it very differently. You got to be careful about how you use your limited resources. So therefore, going first after people who have already given, where the guarantee or the likelihood of them giving again is very high, it's priority number one. But to your earlier point, because the goal is always to build out the donor, group or the potential donor group. And this goes to another sort of rule of fundraising, and people give to people, right? So if it's the kind of people that you know, that may have not given before, but they will give because you are the one asking, that's why you adding those names also makes sense. And then sort of like the third category and the fourth category are potentially people who are also out there who never given for various reasons. Once you've covered the one and the two, you start going sort of after them. So just to kind of streamline why that logic.
Yeah.
And I would also suggest that when you meet with somebody or speak to somebody on the phone and it's a positive experience, they say yes, and then to ask them, it's sort of an opportunity to network and really expand your connection that, your own personal 15 to 20 names, they might be oh yeah.
And I would even piggyback on that, because if someone's very excited in general and their gift and their yes, in addition to asking who else, you can always ask, and would you like to do it? You could recruit another team member right there on the spot, right there, and this is sort of like networking on top of networking. So yeah, great point.
Awesome. And so just to kind of look at the actual donation form, if you turn to the back of the case statement, the back of the brochure, this is actually where we'll capture all of the information that when they agree to give a donation, this is what we need. And it's fairly self-explanatory. Obviously, there's the contact information. Do they want it to be an ongoing gift? They might say, I wish I could give 1,000, but I can't do it. Well, would you like to give $100 a month? Or maybe it's $10 a month, whatever it is. And you could just set it up. We could set it up, I think, with a credit card. Yeah, well, if it's a monthly, it's got to be on a credit card. We could even do quarterly. Whatever's easier. We want to make this easy for them. It could be, $18 a month, whatever it might be. And that's going to add up quickly, but it'd be easy for them. Like I do that for for NPR. They put up $3 on my credit card, and that's fine. And I don't have to worry about it. And then when they have their, quarterly campaign, I can just know to myself, I'm good. So they'll do the same thing for Laurelwood. When it's campaign time, I'm like, oh, I'm good. I'm covered. Let's see. Going down here, if they want it to be in honor or a memory of someone, we can do that. How they want to acknowledge, they might want to be anonymous, or they might want it on, their name might be John Smith, but they want it on behalf of the Smith family, or whatever it might be. So we want to ask that, how, because we're going to recognize and acknowledge these in one format or another. Certainly we want to ask if there's a potential for matching. A lot of people's companies offer, matching gifts to their, favorite charities. So you can ask if that's available.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think that Henry Zach speaking. I don't think that Laura would qualify for matching gifts from any corporation.
Well, I don't know, but it's certainly worth asking. So, that's something we can investigate. If their company matches, we can check out the details. And then we want to ask, we'll figure out the actual payment. Ideally, we get the money as soon as possible. They don't necessarily have to hand it to you right there. If they do, fantastic. They could mail it in. You could give them this, and they can mail it in. Maybe they're not comfortable sharing with you how much they're actually giving, and that's fine too. They can fill us out and send it in, and take care of it on their own. They could even go on our website and do it that way. We don't completely encourage that only because we incur a fee when they do that, but we're not going to turn away donations because they want to do it online by credit card. I mean, that's perfectly fine. And the very last line, referred by, that's you. We want to know who got this donation, A, so we can thank you for all your hard work, and B, next year when we're doing this again and it says John Smith gave $2,000, all right, well, who did that? How did we do that? We want to go back, luckily have that same point of contact. Hopefully we're all involved in the campaign again next year. Either way, we want to be able to identify who that point of contact was. All right, this next thing I want to do is a quick role play. I'm actually going to have two people here act it out. Do I have two volunteers? All right, Steve?
All right.
Steve and Dana, all right. So Steve, you're going to be George, and Dana, you're going to be Michelle. And I made copies, but unfortunately that thing messed it up, so I don't know, you guys are actually going to have to share a copy here. I'm actually going to turn on the camera so you people online can see them.
Oh boy.
Because let's see how this goes.
Better change.
So we are the observers, and you want us to sort of take notes?
There we go.
Yes, so this is intended to be a poorly done ask. So the scene is George is an experienced but largely ineffective fundraising volunteer. He's visiting with Michelle, a camp alumnus who George has had on his prospect list for years. However, for some reason, she has never made a gift. This scene takes place in her office. So we're going to listen to this, we're going to watch this, and afterward just take a few minutes to kind of figure out where did George go wrong, and so that we can avoid those mistakes when we do this. Take it away.
Michelle, it's so great to see you again.
Likewise, George. If it's you, it must be September. I can set my watch by your yearly meeting. How's the family?
On a scale of 1 to 10, we're about an 8. Martha took up pottery. We have ceramic fish everywhere now, but she loves it. Jodi's pregnant.
Fantastic.
And Matt finally has something going that seems right for him.
Oh, great. What's that?
He got accepted into chiropractic college. He starts this month.
Sounds more like a 10 out of 10 to me.
Well, not quite. We think my mother has Alzheimer's. She lives on the West Coast, alone of course. She's stubborn as a mule. Martha and I have been out there twice in the last 3 months, trying to convince her to move to a place with some care. If things get worse, she won't be able to get into most places. She needs a little help now, but I don't even want to think about later.
That's tough, George. If there's anything I can do.
No, please, we're fine. I don't mean to bore you. More important, how are things for you?
Things are good. Sam and I became empty nesters last month, and last spring we made the final tuition payment we'll ever have to make. All the kids are done with school and living on their own. Our grocery bills cost practically nothing now. It's wonderful.
Groceries? How about the phone bill and utilities? That's just great.
It really is. Now we can focus on us and doing the things we want to do, getting more involved in our community. And speaking of volunteering for Camp Laurelwood, how many years has it been now?
Well, it's at least 5 because I started just before the 75th anniversary. And next year, we'll be celebrating the 80th. I've actually been volunteering longer, as I used to help out with special events.
Did you go to Camp Laurelwood as a kid?
No, I was afraid to be away from my parents.
So did you go to a day camp?
No, I generally just hung around the house all summer. Pretty boring.
Well, great to see you're volunteering. Must be pretty rewarding supporting the camp that your kids attend and helping them with the fundraising campaign.
It's fun, but enough about me. How did you get connected to Camp Laurelwood?
As a kid, we had family friends that were sending their kids, and they couldn't say enough great stuff about it. We had family friends that were sending, so we gave it a try, and I'm so happy that we did. And this year, my oldest was a captain for the Big O. I got to attend the banquet to join in the celebration.
So you were just at camp this summer?
Yup, it was amazing to experience all the energy of the kids. Great to see how much they enjoy being among other Jewish kids.
You're so right. I love Camp Laurelwood. I really do. I know it's all about the kids, but for me, that's not why I volunteer. It's you and all the other great people I get to see every year around this time to try to close some gifts. I really have the best prospect list of any volunteer.
Hey, it's all about people.
Well, on that note, I should let you get back to work. That was fun. We should get together for lunch sometime soon.
That would be great, but it will have to wait until November. Sam and I are about to celebrate our empty nest status by taking a month-long cruise to the warmest parts of Europe.
Sounds wonderful. Well, when you get back, the annual campaign will be over, so I'll have a lot more free time. We should be able to set something up pretty easily. I'll email you.
I look forward to it. Great seeing you, George. Good luck with that campaign.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Good sports. I appreciate it. So, let's start with anyone online. Did anything jump out at you guys as, a pitfall or where something went wrong, where George maybe had a misstep? Oh, let me unmute Marcy and I'll turn off the webcam there. So who's got something they'd like to share about that bad campaign visit?
Sort of disconnected.
Disconnected? Yeah. In what way? What what showed that to you?
No real experience with the whole camp. Didn't understand Laurelwood.
Yep.
Was just, had a great list and was just sort of like clockwork.
Yeah.
Setting up
And never
meetings.
asked for money.
No.
I mean, never.
George.
Right. And I become the one leading the conversation.
Exactly, that's what I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
he's Debbie Downer.
Like,
Yeah.
wah, wah, and
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, instead of keeping it positive, you kind of put a damper on the conversation unnecessarily. Absolutely.
Right, when Michelle was talking about the positive aspects of camp, there was no opportunity, we didn't use any, George didn't use any of those opportunities to jump in and say, hey, that's great. Would you consider giving a gift and supporting this lovely camp that you have such fun memories of?
Right. And how else did Michelle kind of try and open that door? Or what signals did she
All her
give?
disposable income, there's no more
Yes.
tuition, they're going on a cruise,
Yeah.
they're empty nesters, there's all this disposable income, which is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, she was giving him every signal that that she was ready to contribute.
Right.
Yes. Anything else that we could take away from this little scenario? Even the timing, she said, I'm going to be away the rest of the campaign.
Okay,
It's kind of
yeah.
like, it's like now or never. He's like, all right, well, it'll be over, so we won't worry about it.
Right, right.
And I want to make sure that you guys were able to hear us. Can you guys online hear me now?
Yes, Marcy, I was able to hear it on and off.
On and off, okay. I apologize. I'm probably putting on the video, put a little strain on the connection, so I apologize. What's that?
No
Okay,
problem.
Rachel or Emily, did you guys have any comments to share? I just saw your microphones pop on.
No, but I could hear fine. Thank you.
What's that?
I could hear just fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to our next part here. So this kind of goes along with giving, but also with the ask, is that the giving isn't just for camp. The giving is for the giver as well. I mean, we all saying it's better to give than to receive, and it's true. You're allowing them to be part of something special, and you want to remember that, and you want to try and transmit that, and you want to let them know. You want to give them a picture of how their contribution is really going to benefit camp and the kids. And you can do that in general. You can do that specifically if you have examples, and you can also let them know that they're going to be getting information routinely throughout the year just about how their money is helping camp. We're going to be much more diligent than our camp has in the past about communicating throughout the year to donors, not just when it's time to ask. And we've even tried to do that this year in advance, before the campaign, by sending out letters, just letting them know all about camp, all about the changes going on. Not asking for anything, just, here's what's going on at camp, and thanks to your past support, we've been able to do these things. So that way, when the campaign does come around next month, it won't be the first time they've heard from us in a year. But we do intend, and it's my goal, to make sure there's multiple communications between this year's campaign and next year's. So that, it's really about building those relationships and maintaining them. And that's how they get to feel special, and they get to feel like $1 million. And you're doing this as partners, not just them giving to camp, but they're part of camp, and they're becoming part of the camp family by doing this. Now, certainly, getting the actually, I have another tool that I had sent out, the solicitation preparation worksheet. It was like a 5-page or 6-page document, I think. That kind of is tools from Natasha. Thank you, Natasha. This copy has blanks on it. I got to pull mine up over here. There we go. I got one. So this is a great tool that's going to walk you through a lot of what we've been talking about. So your preparation worksheet, kind of do all your homework about the person you're asking. So it's just kind of warming yourself up, making sure you have all the talking points about them, about what giving level you're thinking of asking them for. And one thing on that note, an important thing if you've never asked for money or if you've never negotiated a contract like that is once you ask someone, once you put it out there and you put a number out, be quiet. You know, you don't want to say anything. You want them to be the next person to talk. You don't want to be negotiating with yourself. You don't want to say, well, 250, well, maybe 200, maybe 150. They haven't said anything yet. You know, so whatever number you feel is right, say, you know, would you consider 250? And then just be silent. And they're thinking about it. You know, it's okay to sit in silence, however much time they want. But yeah, you may even want to practice that because it's probably the hardest part of the whole thing, just being silent. You know, this isn't a competition, but like in the business world, they basically say the next person who talks loses. So you don't want to be the loser in that conversation.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on something you said earlier, Jay. This is particularly where your own commitment becomes incredibly important because if this is where you decide to put that in terms of making the statement of, you know, I myself, I just want you to know that you know, and this is where your personal choice come in. Do you mention the number? Do you not mention the number? But whatever you say, and then you turn around with the question and allow it to just hang there. So a lot of people just choose to put their own commitment sort of information before the request.
Yep. Yeah, and then, like Natasha said, it's definitely a personal choice what or how much you share, but definitely the fact that you have contributed is key. So after the preparation worksheet, then you know, again, just kind of the steps walking you through, and I think it's all things we talked about. You can certainly review it again if you haven't already. The script, you know, again, it's not an actual script, but it's key talking points, kind of key parts of the conversation. You know, the greetings, getting related, acknowledging who they are, and thanking them for the past support if they are. And it's not just the money. Talking about, you know, the future of camp and what we, you know, envision, and all kids being able to be there. Your own support, and then ask, we just talked about, and then thanking them, whether they've given or haven't given. You know, again, if they said no, what does that no really mean? And then afterwards, all those details, you know, after they say yes, filling out that form and making sure that data gets to your team captain. And then the captain's going to relay that on to Lisa Harding, to our team chair, and she's going to gather it all and put it into the database. And again, if your donor says, well, I'd rather mail it in, or I'm going to do it online, just give your captain and we'll give Lisa a heads up that we can watch for that. And we can you know, just make sure to track that. And then if that doesn't come in, we may, you know, get back and say, hey, that never arrived. Maybe you want to give them a reminder, or just say, hey, you know, did you have any questions? If they just hadn't received it, or anything like that. And just the progress report. So that, you know, this, you could actually use this to, you know, send into your team captain if you want to. But it doesn't even need to necessarily be that formal. It could be an email, a phone call, a text message, whatever it is, just to relay the information to your captain. But it's a great set of tools. So again, thank you, Natasha. And so, as I mentioned, when you actually get those donations, that's a huge reward. I mean, you're going to be addicted to fundraising as soon as you get that first yes. And I know it was for me. And it's just a great feeling that you've been able to help the cause that you care about. And you'll be surprised at how easy it is. But that said, we want to just inject some fun into the process as well. So we're going to have a team competition, and we're theming it around the Apache Relay. I know it's my favorite part of camp. Actually, I started a whole camp consulting company kind of because of the Apache Relay. That's a story for another time. So it's a 7-week campaign, the public part of the campaign, which is, you know, what this kicks off on August 7th. So each of the 7 weeks is a different Apache Relay event. And each of those weeks, every team will be matched up with another team. I actually even developed a schedule. I didn't send this out yet, but I'll get it to everyone. So the first week, my team is matched up against Scott Cooper's team, and Paul Schatz's team is matched up against Dana Horowitz's team, and Rob Levine's team is matched up against Lisa Leibowitz' team. And each week, you start fresh with 0 points, and you earn points by getting contributions. It can be just a pledge, or it can be an actual payment. As you see on the awards, the competition details, you actually get more points if they actually pay. You do get more points for larger donations, but it's not just about the money. It's not just fundraising. It's also fundraising. It's building that participation. So there are points for just getting the actual payment. If it's a new donor, that's 4 points. That's huge. If you're able to raise someone's gift from a previous year, then you get bonus points. There's all sorts of ways to get bonus points. And because it's fresh each week and you're matching with a different team each week, even if one team killed it and got like $10,000 that week, they're back to square one the next week, and they've got to start from the same point. So don't feel defeated if you have a rough week. There's always next week. But you'll also note that you can earn 4 points for your team by making your own gift before August 14th. You'll get 4 points if you want to get those points. So definitely, you're probably going to do it before then because you'll be making asks before then. You want to be able to say that you've made your gift. But that's the cutoff date for you guys to get those 4 points. So yeah, you'll have a record by the end of 7 weeks of, I don't know, 4 wins, 3 losses, whatever it is, and we'll come up with some fun prize for the winning team. Let's see here. Now, a couple other things. Time's here, 8:15. All right, we're in good shape here. I want to review the commitment form. So I think everyone has, but if you haven't already, please submit your signed campaign description of responsibilities for being a team member. Awesome, thank you. And that's mostly so that we're all on the same page. It's not a matter of trust or like that. It's that we want to know that we've been clear and that you know what you're getting into. So we don't want you to feel ambushed or that it's something you weren't expecting. Just kind of touching on a couple points here. You've already done one of the most important things, which is participating in a training. And it's not because we want you here, it's because we want you to feel comfortable and have the tools and the knowledge to be successful. And hopefully we've been able to give you some of that tonight. Then on Sunday, August 7th, we're officially kicking off the campaign. That day is also an alumni event at camp from 11 to 4. But beginning at 12, we're going to have something we're still developing. We don't know what it is, but we'll have some type of official kickoff at the alumni event. And it's also an open house, so anyone, they don't have to be alumni. And we encourage everyone involved in the campaign to come, bring friends, bring potential donors to see the camp. There won't be any kids there. The reason the event happens that day is because all the kids are on a field trip. So we have the run of the camp, and actually there will be specialists there supervising the pool, ropes course, boating, I think everything but archery, sports. So bring the kids, have fun, just experience camp for the first time or again or whatever it might be. Come on out. And then we'll also kick off the campaign. We won't be making asks there. We don't want to make anyone feel comfortable or on the spot, but we're just going to announce the kickoff. Because there'll be a lot of people there who won't even know it's the kickoff, and we don't want them to feel put out. But by the same token, we're not charging them anything that day. The food is free, the activities are free, so hopefully they'll feel a little encouraged to say, all right, maybe I'll look into that campaign. And then the victory party, it doesn't say here, but it's actually going to be at the end of the campaign on Sunday, September 25th, I believe the date is. Again, we don't have any details yet, but if you can make either or both of those events, that's awesome. If you can't, we understand, but we definitely wanted to invite you.
Is the victory party at camp?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, most likely not. There may be rentals, there might be stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it's possible, but let's see. We also, so like we talked about, you need to identify who your prospects are. You can always add more later, but we really want you to, before the campaign kicks off, really identify those 15 to 20 people at least that you're going to be talking to. I mean, over 7 weeks, that's only 2 to 3 people a week. It's not a lot to ask. Hopefully, it won't be a lot to do. I know at times it's difficult, especially when you want to do it in person. That can be difficult to have 3 face-to-faces a week. I get that. But we also know that they probably won't end up being all face-to-faces. Not only the time to do it, but the time to schedule it. I mean, believe me, we understand that it is work, but we also think it's doable, and we hopefully should be able to accomplish that. Then actually doing those follow-up calls and meetings with people, and then actually turning in the data, like we talked about, letting us know if someone pledged or at least that you spoke to them. And then actually writing a thank you note at the end of the campaign, just that personalized, since you were the one who asked them, just thanking them for that gift. And we're actually at camp, at least I don't know if you can say if it's actually been completed yet, but we're having campers decorate blank thank you notes. So we'll give you thank you notes decorated by campers that you can use. Obviously you'll write your own message, but you can say this is from our campers. I don't know if you happen to see that happen at camp or not.
Okay.
All right, so you have to see that. But they are working on that, and I'll follow up. They've got 3 more weeks of camp, so we'll make sure that happens. Let's see, what else am I missing?
So you know what, I also want to add, I believe that an email just went to everybody on this list, inviting them for August 7th.
Yes, but it doesn't mention the kickoff, it just mentions the event. Yeah, yep.
Yes, yeah.
Yep. So that covers most of the responsibilities, unless I'm forgetting anything key, if you can remember. All right. Well, the next thing I'd like you to do is take 30 seconds or so. We don't have any set goals. We're not saying like everyone must raise $1,000, everyone must make $10,000. Obviously, everyone's going to raise as much as they can, but you probably heard the saying, what gets measured gets done. So we set goals for ourselves. So I want you to take 30 seconds and just think to yourself, and actually write down on a corner of a piece of paper somewhere, what number would you love to see yourself hit? No one else is going to know. If you make it, if you blow it out of the water, you can share it later if you want. But just give yourself a goal, over this campaign, what you'd love to hit. So just I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. And then, as we talked about commitment, actually making a list. I don't want to take the time now to make the list because we have it all online, but go online, tonight if possible, and start picking those names. And obviously the first one's on, get first pick. You don't want to be on later and say, oh, I wanted him, I wanted her. Granted, if you really want to, and actually if you really know someone well, it does behoove you to say, oh, Dana, you picked John, but John's my cousin, I know really well, can I have him? Dana, say sure. Or she might update and say, oh, he's my brother. Whatever. But yeah, the sooner you get on there, the better. And we'll be adding names, and you'll be adding names. It's going to be an active, live, ongoing list, so come back to it often. And let's see. So we're giving you a toolbox to be successful. The main part of that toolbox is the training. Oh, what's that, Dana?
Question.
Yes.
So those folks that have already donated, will their names be on the list and marked donated?
Yes. It hasn't happened yet. We're still compiling and updating that, but excellent question. Yes.
Because I would look if they weren't. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. Yes. Good.
And technically speaking, all the names that you put in there, and correct me if I'm wrong, will be the people who have donated before.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone on this list.
Until people start adding their own names.
Right.
And
But if there's a name with no one assigned to them, that person has given before.
by definition.
Yes.
It could have been 5 or 6 or 7 years ago that they did.
It could be, yes. Well, actually, I think that list only was back like 3 years.
No,
We
3
didn't,
years, right.
yeah, we didn't go back that far for this list. We have data going back that far, but this list is within the last 3 years, so it's since the 75th. So the first part of that toolbox is giving you this training, giving you these case statements. Again, the people who are here, I can give as many as one. People who are online, well, I think you're mostly board members. You can get them at the board meeting, but otherwise, we can mail out to anyone. Just call the office and say, I want 25 case statements, please, and they'll mail it right out to you. Or if you take some and you need more, that's what we ordered 750, and if we give them all away, I'll be ecstatic. So please take as many as you need. And they really did a beautiful job putting these together. I mean, they're fantastic. If you haven't felt it yet, seen it in person, they're like heavyweight. They're classy. Data sheet. This is a tool we're still putting together. So something there, you may get a question on, how many kids are at camp this year? What percentage of the kids are getting financial assistance? What percentage of the kids are Jewish? What percentage of the staff are Jewish? Whatever. So we're working on a data sheet that will kind of give you those quick facts and figures that you can either share, on your own, or if they ask a question. We have the list of names that you can pull from for your giving list. We have that script tool that Natasha provided with all those worksheets. We have the club levels that we've developed this year. So just a lot of different things to try and help with. And another thing that we want to develop that I was hoping to have for tonight but didn't get to, but we'll get to in time, is a list of kind of responses. So if they say no, or if they have an issue, things that you can say that can maybe turn it around or answer some of those questions to kind of help them get to where they're comfortable. And I think that covers all of my topics. We have about 8 minutes left for questions or other comments, because I know other people here have been involved in campaigns in different formats, and I'm definitely not an expert. I just enjoy it. So if anyone would like to share anything or ask any questions, please go ahead. See what's popping up on the screen here. Oh, all right. I guess we lost you for a second, but you're back. All right.
So I was going to wait until offline, but I have, in the 75th, I was working on connecting with alumni, and I know they were using Donor Perfect. I don't know what they're using now.
Yeah, we still have Donor Perfect.
Okay. And I still get an email pop-up when somebody uses the Facebook form that says, so-and-so has, filled out this form, and that also goes to somebody else. Anyway, I guess I can wait till we're offline, because I'd love to be able to figure out how to get to the back end of it, because I don't remember the password. But I think it might open up sort of like a treasure trove of data.
Okay.
Perfect.
I don't know if it speaks to each other or not. Well,
All
offline. We'll go offline.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're talking about, so
I know.
I'm intrigued now.
Yeah.
And anyone online have questions or comments to share? We do actually.
Marcy just wrote, I can't hear anything at all.
Oh.
No, you guys are back on. I can hear you again. Sorry.
Okay, good. We've already, I mentioned the team captains' names. Everyone, all the volunteers, all the board members have been assigned to those 6 teams. So each team has 4 or 5 people besides the captain. So we have 24, 25, 26 people actively working on this campaign. So that's a great crew. I'm really excited. And actually the best thing, you know what, let me I haven't been updating my slides as I've been talking. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't remember what these slides are for. There's the Apache relay that talks about our competition, and we're all doing this together to all our teamwork. Setting your personal goal that we talked about. Coming up with your list of names. Talked about our toolbox. And this. So this is how we're measuring our success. You know, most campaigns have a thermometer and they measure the red going up. Because we have our Apache relay theme, we are doing burning the rope. And as our contribution total rises, so will the flame until we burn that rope. Now, when I put this together, this little mock-up, this was accurate at around 60,000. I'm actually excited to tell you that we're already between 80 to 90,000 just in the silent portion of our campaign. So we are cranking.
Wow, we're up to 80, 90.
We're up to between 80 and 90 right now. So that's incredible.
Is there an amended goal?
No, the amended goal actually, I mean, the official goal, what it says in our budget is 140. I'm shooting for 160. Actually, if you look at the club level sheet where it breaks it down by different level, it comes out to like 165. So if we hit our goal numbers for each given level, we should blow away 165 even, which is great. The more the better. We'd love to burn through that rope and just keep going. But we're going to keep updating this. What's that?
You gotta update it.
Yeah, I've got to update this. So that's what we're actually going to, when the campaign kicks off, the camp website homepage is going to have the campaign on there. This will be on there, and info and links about donating online. So it won't be hard for people that want to contribute online to go there, or anyone just visiting our website.
Well, when is that going to happen?
So that's going to be August 7th. So before August 7th, the website is going to be transitioned to have this front and center. So that anyone going to the website is going to see that.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you've got the goal of 165, but how much does Laurelwood need to raise annually to give the percentage of scholarships they want to give out, keep the camp, invest in new buildings or upgrades?
Well,
what's the number, a rough number? I mean?
Well, the number that's budgeted to break even for this year, not including any enhancements, but just covering expenses, was 140. It may actually be higher than that at the moment. It's always in flux. You don't know during the summer. Salaries fluctuate. Whatever the number of campers. We budget for the number of campers. Back in January, December, and so we're still getting people registered.
It doesn't include capital.
Yeah.
It's only operational dollars.
Yeah. This doesn't include enhancements of facilities. It's strictly operating the camp itself, the programming and feeding the kids and things like that. So 140 is what's in the budget, but I know we need more than that.
Mm-hmm. There were many kids that didn't get scholarships.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. There were kids
When you
who were turned
say they've raised $90,000,
I'm sorry, what's that, Henry?
when you say you said that you raised a certain amount of money, what was that amount?
Currently, we're up to between 80 and 90,000.
Can you hear me? Where did you get that number from?
I got that number from our bookkeeper.
Okay, and that consisted of from what period of time?
Our fiscal year is October 1st through September 30th, so that's all contributions since this last October 1st. And that doesn't include any money that was given to camp for capital or.
And that would include money from the federation as well, the $30,000.
I don't know. I mean, we can follow up specifics later, but those are the.
Right.
We've got.
Let me. I just wanted to ask you. I just wanted to ask you one real question. The shortfall that will be encountered prior to the end of the fiscal year, which is August 31st, I believe. Do you know what that shortfall is?
No, no, the campaign is separate from the budgeting issues. Right now, we're just out to raise as much money as we can, and we'll let the executive committee, worry about the operational end of it. But so yeah, we're just going to raise as much money as we can to help the cause.
Yeah, we're 100% in agreement. Okay.
Fantastic. Any other questions or thoughts, Natasha?
Just a question, because we never actually discussed that. So since you have the competition set up and it's a weekly kind of outcome, right?
Yep.
Is there any forum during which on a weekly basis, not only will this information be sort of made public, or at least for this group, but will also be an opportunity for people to share anything useful, like, for example, I've encountered this type of objection and I dealt with it in the following way. Here is to all of you because, it really worked. Or a question from someone in terms of, and at the same time, if you have something like this, it's also a way to maybe keep people accountable, like what's been happening, or so something. I guess that's the question along those lines.
And I don't know if you're setting me up, but absolutely yes.
No,
So yeah, we actually have and I don't know, I'm hopeful that everyone in the campaign is a member of Facebook, but we set up a special Facebook closed group. So it's not public, it's just for anyone on the campaign. We accept you into this group, invite you into this group, and so you can do exactly that. We'll post updates about the campaign success. You can share info, you can ask questions. We'll be posting the competition results, absolutely all of the above. So nice. Thank you for that lead in because I forgot to mention it.
Wasn't it all? That's perfect.
All right. Anything else? And of course, any questions come up with, you can reach out to me, to Lisa Harding, to your captain. Natasha's always a great, resource for us. And we appreciate everything that you do and that you're going to do. And I'm excited to get started. And actually, one question I've gotten before, do you have to wait until August 7th to start asking? Absolutely not. You could dive in tonight. A lot of people have. I mean, obviously, we're up to 80,000, 90,000. That didn't happen on its own. That happened with a lot of people working and asking questions. And going after, the reason you have that silent portion is you really want to hit those big past donors first. You want to go through those layers that Natasha was talking about earlier, and build that base. And plus, it really helps when you go out and you're doing your campaigning. You can let them know how successful we're already. Success breeds success. People want to be part of something that's doing well. You don't want to say, "Well, we're going. We got 5,000."
I had one other question.
You've already got.
Have you assigned to people who they're going to call?
No, we don't assign. We're letting people pick who they'd like to call.
And they're going to let who know about that.
Yeah. And
Is that going to be reported back into Evelyn Cohn, for example?
I'm sorry. What I'm having trouble hearing you. I can follow up with you afterwards, Henry. But yeah, you said something about reporting. Everyone reports who they've spoken with.
So they report to Evelyn Cohn at the camp?
No. Evelyn's not part of the committee. They report to their team captain, and the captains report to Lisa Harding.
Okay. Is Lisa on this call?
No, not tonight.
Okay.
All right. I think I've hit my 8:30 mark.
Thank you.
It's actually 8:35.
Thank you very much for having a great meeting.
Oh, thank you, and thanks everyone for attending. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to everyone again. Have a great night.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Yay!
Let's stop the recording.